Today I am going to take a very ratty piece of wood, a pot melt that I did in a video a little while back. Go and check it out if you want to have a really good closer look at that and see how I made it. And I'm going to take some just plain glass, and with a lot of luck we're going to make a piece of art. I hope you are well out there, and definitely hope you are better than I am. Welcome to the channel. My name is Jeff, and as you can guess, I am I'm on the tail end of COVID, unfortunately. Well, I hope I'm on the tail end of COVID. That tail has been very long, and I just can't shake this thing off my chest, as you can tell from my voice, I'm sure. But anyway, let's get into this. I'm fed up with sitting down, lying down and resting and all that, so I need to do something. Today I've had this pot melt for quite a while now. Definitely go and have a look at the video, see how that was made. It's quite straightforward to make. It's got beautiful patterns in it, and I was thinking about how I could utilize that in a piece as it is whole, but I've actually decided I'm going to cut it up and use it in a piece. I've got a rather odd design in mind, but I think it's going to look good. And when I've made that piece, and it will be a bowl, I'm going to try and make a stand for it out of something like this ratty piece of wood here. I've got a few of them here. I haven't chosen the exact one I'm going to use. I'm going to make the bowl first, and then I'm going to try and modify one of these so it turns into a stand, and that's going to be a bit of a challenge, I think. So that's the plan. Just run through a couple of things. I'm using all Bullseye 90 COE here, and I will give you schedules. Make sure you adjust those schedules for your own kiln and whatever COE you're using. Stay safe. Make sure you wear your glasses and masks and everything else. We don't want glass in the eye or anything else like that. And if you get to the end of it, at least stay to the end of it and see how this goes, because even I don't know how this is going to go. I've never done it before. But if you get to the end of it and you like it, please hit that like button, subscribe, and make some comments. Like comments, always like comments. Okay, let's get into the first part of it, and I'll go over the design a little bit more and the things that I'm going to use to make this. Okay, before I get into this too much, something I meant to say before is, as far as COVID is concerned, don't take it for granted. I'm afraid we probably did a little bit. It has been a while since our last vaccination, and I was thinking about going and getting vaccinated, but obviously I left it too late, and both Anne and I ended up with COVID. Anne got through it reasonably well in a few days. For me, it's gone on a lot longer, and I can't shake this thing off my chest. So don't think it's gone away. Definitely hasn't gone away. And keep up those vaccinations if you believe in them. I believe in them, because I've seen too many of my friends who haven't taken it, been extremely ill, and I've had it once before, but because I had the vaccinations, basically a couple of days done. Felt a bit off, and a couple of days done, but this time missed it, and it hasn't been pleasant, put it that way. Anyway, let's get on with this thing. But I just felt a sort of a responsibility to say that, I'm afraid. This is the pot melt that I made, and you have a look at that video for sure, but it's got some really nice patterns in it there, and I've been trying to figure out what to do with them, and I think I've figured out what I want to do. Now I'm going to be using that. I'm going to be using the driftwood grey, that's the Bullseye code for driftwood grey, and just some plain black to make a bowl, basically. And I'm going to cut this up, and that's going to be the bottom, the black. that'll be on the top, and this will be embedded in that, is about the only way I can say it. But before I cut this, and I have marked it, you can sort of see in the shadow there the marker that I've used. Before I cut it, I want to get those pieces on a bit of paper so I can do a little bit of design work, make sure I'm going to cut them in the right spot, or cut it in the right spot. So I've worked out a way to do that. Basically, I am going to, go over those marks again with the marker, use the paper, press it down, and that should give me an impression on there that I can cut out. So that's the first part of it, and we'll get on to that now. Right. Fortunately, there's a spike right there, and that'll hold my paper for me, but I'll just go over these lines a bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's just to give me a bit of a guide. Hopefully it'll stay wet enough for me. There's that spike. Yeah, it looks like it's working. That'll be good. So I'll just cut that out now. This will be that way, I think. Yeah, well, I'll work it out. Now, the old brain's not working as good as it should be. It's a bit dull. Okay. Have I got it right? I think I'm right. So, yep, that'll match it. Okay, I just had to stop the camera while I fumbled with some sticky tape to try and stick this back together on the ends here. I hate sticky tape like that. The idea is I'm now going to put that on there, mark around it, so I do get sort of a fairly good representation of each piece. So it's pretty straightforward, I think. It's just, sorry for banging that down. I know I'm always doing that. Always making loud noises. Keep you awake. So just want to do something like that and run around it. Give our size an idea of what each piece is going to look like. And that I'm going to use to work out my final design. Okay. Working away here, and I thought I should be showing you some of this. I'm just preparing something here, but before we get into that, this is the mould I'm going to use. It's just a round bowl, basically. Pretty straightforward. So the bowl will be slumped into that, and then we'll make that stand. To do that, I worked out that the largest dimension or largest diameter bowl I could make is 24 centimeters, and I'm just trying to right now do a 24 centimeter circle on here so I can then determine where I'm going to put these different pieces. Now, I don't have a protractor big enough to do a 24 centimeter one, so I've come up with the idea of using the glass cutter, setting that and impressing a mark on the paper with that. And I'm just going around now and I'm marking that in, and then I'll do my little bit of design work here and decide where all these pieces are going to go. So these are all the different pieces, and I don't remember how they come, but it doesn't really matter how they come out. I've got to decide, because what I'm actually going to do is I am going to put these around the edges like that, and I'm going to cut pieces of glass to go in the middle. So I'm just deciding where I'm going to put these. They won't fit. You know, these curves are not going to fit this curve. That's just simply not going to happen. There, I think it's just a fluke that it actually did that. But these aren't going to fit. I think that's what I want to do. So I'm pretty confident that the way I'm going to cut this up is going to be fine, because I really do not want to chop up this pattern in here any more than that. I've tried to follow dark areas through here, maintain this really interesting swirl in here, and same as down here. I really don't want to cut that up. This again is an element on its own. Same here. This is the bodgy one here. There's not a lot in it, but that's fine, and I think that'll work out fine. So my next part is to I'll cut this on my ring saw, and I'll also cut out the rings of the driftwood grey and the black, and then from there I will be cutting the driftwood grey and the black to fit around these pieces. And this is 6mm thick, so obviously I've got to cut both the driftwood grey and the black to make this work. Otherwise this is going to be too thick to just sit on the black, which means then it's going to spread more, and the pattern will change. And I expect the pattern to change a little bit on the edges where it all butts up together, but can't do much about that, I don't think. Can't think of any other way. If you had another way, let me know. Because I do have another pot melt, and I haven't decided what to do with that yet, so any ideas on that would be fantastic. So give me your ideas on that. By the way, that's the back of it. Looks terrible, but it'll all get cleaned up. Okay, over, and let's cut this up. So if you ever wonder what I wear when I'm doing my cutting in the little cutting room I've got over here, first thing is obviously an apron, waterproof apron, which goes all the way down. I wear that, and I wear some sleeves, keep my sleeves dry, and I'll show you a few other things in there that I also wear. So these are the other things that I wear. I wear earmuffs. It's very noisy in here, and I've got enough problems with my hearing already. I wear a mask. I know it's all underwater, but it aerolyzes, and I still don't want to breathe it in. And I wear a face mask so that I can actually try and see what I'm doing. Sometimes I must admit I have to take that off, but I have my glasses on as well underneath that, so I try and keep as safe as possible. This is how they've ended up. What I've decided to do, because it didn't have much of a curve on here, I am going to grind in a little bit to sort of emphasize that curve a little bit around here. It's just black there, so I'll bring that in, and I'll do the same on this piece over here. I'll bring it in to sort of emphasize that curve there, move this one around here a little bit more. So I'm going to curve off all of these inside curves here, because I do have to get in there with the grinder later on as I'm making these internal pieces here. So I don't want sharp edges because I'll never get into them, so I'll curve these off. And I do those all on my little glass star grinder over there. So that's excuse me, that's the next step. I haven't cut the circles yet, and I think once I've ground these, that's going to be me for today, and I'll come back to it tomorrow. So let's go over and grind these pieces and get them looking a bit better. Just something I need to say before I excuse me, before I continue. I did say I was going to get back to this the next day, but my glass star grinder has had its day. I fixed it there once where the shaft wasn't turning, that was fine, but then the bearing on it just blew out. It's gone, can't get it fixed, can't find anybody around here who can do it. I also can't find anybody selling glass stars at the moment, not that I can afford a brand new glass star, but everybody's out of stock, so I bought this cheap one off of Amazon. I did do a video for my members just showing this and talking about this, but this is what I've got now. It will do the job, I think. So we'll just get on with this and start cleaning these pieces up. Also making sure that I get rid of the little chips that were on the edges from the saw when I cut it. By the way, I'm going to go and scrub the ends of this. I don't want it to dry on, because once that ground glass dries on it, it's harder to get off, so always scrub the ends of anything you're grinding as soon as possible. I have ground all those up. I have also rearranged them, as you may have noticed. I find that a little bit more pleasing, that arrangement. I have made some of them protrude more, so you get a bit more of a bump on the edges. And I have tried to make these curves fit the grinding head that's on that piece. That's the smallest one that's on it. I do have another really small one here that was on the glass star, and even though the shaft's supposed to be exactly the same, it is very, very fractionally too small, so that won't go on. So I'm going to have to find some way of getting just a fraction out of that, just so it will fit. These are also not, they won't feed the water up because they're not made that way. So we'll also have to figure out some way of feeding water to it when I'm grinding it. That would have been perfect for these tighter curves. The other bit won't fit these tighter curves, so I'm going to have to be very careful with the saw to get in here and make it as neat as possible. So the next thing is to cut these circles. So I've got 2 circles to cut, top and bottom one, and then I will mark where these go, and we'll go over to the saw and cut these out. What I've done here is I have found roughly the center that I want for the glass. This is 24 centimeters wide, the disc. So I've come in about 12.5, I think it is. Yeah, about 12.5 centimeters. There's my center. And these are the little guides that go on for the ring saw. I'm going to put some double-sided tape on that and then put it on there. This is in 2 pieces. Of course, I've actually run out of the other ones. So, but it should be fine. Okay, it's only by eye, and eye is good enough for this. Just make sure I get it about right. Put that on, make sure it's on properly. And then I'll be taking that over to the ring saw and cutting out my 24 centimetre wide disc. I'll do the same with this piece as well. So, now comes the fun bit. I have positioned my little feature pieces in where I want them, and then I've got these in position. I will now mark these. Then I'll put tape over them to protect that mark so I can cut them, and hopefully it'll protect it long enough for me to cut them. The sticky tape does come off eventually. Once I've cut all those and they all fit once I've cut them roughly, I'll take it over to the grinder and I will grind into the correct shape. So make sure all of these fit. So first thing, let's get them marked. Okay. It's going to be interesting on the black because hard to see marks on black, but we'll work something out. Beautiful. And that's it. Now we'll clean everything up, take it over the table and check our fit. Here we are, everything fits in now, at least reasonably well, and I think they'll all fuse together well. But now I've got to mark this so I can cut the bottom plate out. And that may be a challenge because it's black. How the heck do I mark something that's black? If you've got any ideas, let me know. I'd love to know. But I know how I'm going to try it. Whether it's going to work or not is another thing. But let me know, how would you do this? Well, I think I've got a solution. Obviously, I was trying to think, how can I mark it? I need something white stuck on it. And of course, painter's tape come to mind. So I did a test. This is just plain painter's tape. It's this stuff here. I did a test, stuck some on. I tried it with permanent marker, and that just washed off. The marker just washed off. This is a normal biro or a pen, and that's fine. That doesn't wash off, and the tape seems to stick well enough to stay up, and I think it'll stay long enough for me to cut these pieces out. So what I've done is I've stuck plenty of it on around there. I've put my top piece on that, marked it all out, and now I just got to go over to the ring saw and cut that all out. Wish me luck. Hopefully all this tape will stay on, and it certainly did in the test, and some of it actually had to scrape it off to get it off. So I'll be pushing it a bit harder and making sure it's on there, and then we'll go and cut it on the ring saw. As you can see here, I've cut everything out of the bottom piece. Things don't fit perfectly, but that doesn't matter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fill around these with black frit, just to tidy them up. And our piece goes on top, and if need be, I'll put some black frit on that as well, very carefully. Now, so next thing is to get this all onto a kiln shelf on some thin wire paper. I will then, let's take these off, I will then put this all in place, fill it with frit around in here, and to take up those gaps that I unfortunately made, and then put this on, get it in the kiln for a full fuse. I don't know whether you've seen the video where I made this mesh melt, but have a look at it. You'll see the piece as a whole, and you can see very clearly the patterns in them. Turned out really nice. Now I'm just going to show you that because I'm going to talk about something, and this does relate. So, and the fusing that I just done has worked fine. So everything is fused together. Now, I was going to decorate this on the top with straight stringers. Basically, I was just going to tie all of these pieces sort of together with bits of stringer, but straight stringers. I wasn't going to do anything but straight stringers. So, and the reasoning was it was a contrast to the swirl in the pattern. But I've thought about it, and to me, it seems to be too much of a contrast. So I've been playing around with these, which are basically stringers that I bent, and I think that is the way to go. So I think if I tie everything together with stringers that are not curved, but sort of have these rather sharp bends, and tie everything together with that, I think that will work better. And of course we won't know until it's finished. Anyway, so what I'm going to do now, so I'm going to clean this up, put it on a shelf ready to go in the kiln, and then I'm going to play around with these stringers until I get a pattern on here that I'm happy with. Okay, I finally got there. It took me a while. I tried different variations of straight stringers, bent stringers, curved stringers, but this is what I've come up with finally. At one point I was using a pen here to write on the surface to try and get all my thoughts in order. And this is the end result. I think it looks good. We'll see how it comes out of the kiln.
ties, the way I look at it, it ties everything together. Instead of these looking like pimples on a pumpkin, it ties everything together without overdoing it. So hopefully it will be fine. I've cleaned it all up. It's sitting here ready to go in the kiln. So I'll get it in the kiln out, and I'm going to do a full fuse because originally I think I said I was going to tack fuse it and then turn it over and full fuse it, but I've decided just to do a full fuse. I'm pretty confident everything will be fine. I'm a dummy. There's a few things I never thought about when I was doing this. As you can see, these are much wider than I thought they would be. First thing that I never really thought about, I was a little worried about how much they would spread. But what I never really thought about was the fact that I've got black on a light colour. The black will soften and start spreading long before this will soften and allow it to sink in. So the fact that it was just black on a light colour, it should have been enough to remind me that this is going to spread more. The other thing is I used 1mm stringers. I should have used 1/2mm stringers. There's a lot less glass in a 1/2mm stringer, not just half the amount. If you do your maths, it's a lot less glass in a 1/2mm stringer, so these would not have been as wide as they are. Having said all of that, I am still quite happy with this piece. The ends would have been nice if they sort of joined seamlessly, but I'm not worried about that too much because this is a very organic piece. So having that doesn't really take away from it. It's not meant to be precise. Now I've got to get a better finish on this because there are little bits of divot around. Not absolutely sure why. I'm going to have to burn my kiln a bit and just make sure there's no contamination in it. And I'm hoping my cleaning job was good enough. Doesn't look like it if you look at it there. But anyway, I think I cleaned it well enough, but I've got little bits of divot. What I was worried about, I'm not terribly worried about it, but I thought I'd rather limit the amount of movement in the shape. I want to keep that shape as much as possible. So what I did is I did a test on the back here where there's quite a bit of pattern. When that's wet, you can see that the pattern has remained intact. It's fine. So I went ahead and I sandblasted the front as well rather than using clear frit on it. And the pattern is fine. It hasn't taken much of the pattern off because it's deep, it's not surface. So that's good. It has exposed little holes in that mesh melt, which isn't really surprising. But there are holes in there, so the sandblasting always does that, exposes surface holes even in this glass here. And you can fix them obviously by putting a bit of clear in there or something like that, or in this case a bit of that colour and refusing it, but I'm not going to worry about it for this piece. So that's all done. I need to fire polish this, so I'll get it fire polished and then we can do our final slump and we're done. I am ecstatic with this piece, or as ecstatic as I can get. I'm not going to be jumping up and down, but I love it. I think it has worked beautifully for what I'm trying to create. And one of the reasons is, by the way, it's all got a nice finish on it. Yeah, it's got little where holes and bubbles have come to the surface. I'm not worried because the whole idea of this is organic. And it's those feature pieces that make it, not the rest of it. That is just there to complement it. And at those feature pieces, I'm going to try and show them to you, you can't possibly get the same feeling about it that I get by looking at it, because I can see it in 3D. But those are all amazing. So that's what really makes this piece. That's, you know, we'll get around here. Here's another one. This little one is not so much, but those others are just amazing. Now, that I'm going to slump into my mould here, which is just a deep bowl, and I've covered that in boron nitride, so I'm just waiting for that to dry. I'm not necessarily going to slump this completely, because I don't want a real deep bowl, and one of the reasons is I'm going to be using, believe it or not, I'm going to be using this horrible ugly bit of wood, and I'm going to make a stand out of it. That will be in the next video. So to fit on that, it needs 3 points, 1, 2, 3, or about here, 1, 2, 3 to sit on, and I don't want it real deep in, so it doesn't sort of sit too deep in here and touch sides and all that. So I want it to, a nice shallow bowl in here will be great, and I'll flatten the bottom off it to be a stand. So I'm very excited about this. It's had its challenges along the way, but I'm very excited to see the whole thing completed. So if you feel like me, hang around. Now, the last thing I have to do in this video at the moment is to slump this, and then I'm going to come back and start working on my stand. So when that's dry, clean this up in the kiln and we'll slump it. Well, that was a long journey, just taken me a couple of weeks to get that done, for a number of different reasons, obviously for this COVID thing. And you can probably tell from my voice, I have improved as far as COVID is concerned, getting over it slowly. Still get a little bit of a cough every now and then, but I am getting there. And as I said, that has been a journey. We've had a number of issues. I've changed my mind a number of times, and it is not going to be to everybody's taste, but it is to mine. And to me, that's the main thing. If you don't like the final piece, at least you've seen the process and hopefully you've learned something from that. Now, that is not the final piece, or what's the final piece, but that's not the total project as such. As I said in the beginning, I've got to make a stand for this, and I'm going to make it out of this ratty piece of wood. I think I've set myself a challenge, and yeah, woodworking is not my strongest suit. I have done woodworking some time ago, so we'll see how that works out. Look forward to that one. When it's completed, I'll obviously do a video of me making it, and I'll put a link in the description for that video. If it's not there, I haven't done it yet. So I'm sure you're going to have some questions about this. Please put them in the comments section. There are a number of things as we made this that I'm sure raised questions. So I'd love to hear from you, and don't hesitate, and I will try and answer as many of them as I can.
Now, if you think that has been of value, please share the video around. Consider subscribing and make sure you turn on those notifications and hit that like button. We've got to say all that, haven't we? And don't forget there are memberships available, and you can always make a little donation down the bottom. So that was a journey, but that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Up here you'll find a sample member only video and a button to find out more information. Down here, suggested video just for you, and the subscribe button. You take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.